This Talking Flutes podcast is kindly sponsored by Trevor James Flutes, making life sound beautiful. You can show them some flute love by following them on Instagram at TJ Flutes, Trevor James Flutes on Facebook, and at trevorjamesflutes.com. Hello there, and welcome this week to Talking Flutes Extra with me, Jean-Paul Wright. Thank you so much for all the emails following my chat-et with... Sorry? Chat-et? Is that a word? Chat-et? Anyway, following my chat with technical Yoda of TJ Flutes, David Farley, last week. Just to confirm that the wonderful new wooden flute he was speaking about will be available later in the summer, whilst the open G-sharp flutes are actually available now. If you need more information, then feel free to visit any TJ Flute website and send an email from the contact drop-down. So with 166 podcasts published already, I do appreciate that for the new listener to Talking Flutes, going back to podcast 1 would be a really daunting and very long process to get through. Claire and I have looked at this, and during the next couple of months we'll be interspersing our usual weekly podcasts with a look back at some of our personal favourites, and also the ones that have featured the most in viewer stream and download popularity. This week, I'm lucky, I'm up, it's my turn, and I'm going back a little to a visit I made to Los Angeles and a catch up with the then new Emmy winning musicians José Valentino on flute and Gualo on guitar. Since this wonderful time I had chatting to these fabulous musicians in my hotel room in Santa Monica, I love Santa Monica, both Gualo and José have gone on to win countless more awards, including a Latin Grammy win for José only a few months ago. In normal times, the stresses of study, finding work and performances are immense for most artists. Combine this with the additional issues faced during the last 18 months with COVID, and let's not forget that L word, lockdown, and the word fun in particular has been bottom of many of our vocabularies as the virus still continues to ravage populations around the world, whilst musicians have continued to struggle to make ends meet and put food on the table. So in choosing the podcast this week, I just wanted us to at least begin to look at that fun word again in our music making. When we listen to music, we use it to escape, to remember, to smile, to dance, to cry, or to find ourselves motivated and stimulated by an auditory pattern of sounds that goes deep within our being. So for the next 58 minutes, yeah, it's a long one this week, sit back and listen to the wonderful musicians improvising and speaking about the importance of that F word.
It's on fun this week.
Oh yes, we're going to have a jolly time.
Good English accent. I'm joined this week by the wonderful José Valentino.
Sir José Valentino.
Oh, Sir José Valentino.
Yeah. The Queen called me last night. I'm officially a sir.
and to his left, a sensible voice, is Gualo on the guitar. Hi, Gualo.
Lord Gualo.
Oh, Lord Gualo. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Doing well.
You're doing well.
Yeah.
This podcast is all about what you guys know best.
The F word. Fun!
Do you know, I didn't know where you're going to take that.
It's all about the F word. Fun!
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know that you've already got the title of the podcast? It's all about the F word.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
it.
That's it.
It's all about the F word.
That's the hook.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because what you guys do is...
The F word is not flute.
Yeah, and it ain't flute.
It ain't flute.
What you guys do is you bring fun. You always have fun. And what I've known you for quite a few years now, and there's never a solemn moment.
Yeah.
It is always fun.
Always.
Sure.
And you said in the Uber last night when we were coming back to the hotel, you said surround yourselves with, it wasn't Costa Rican people, it was...
Dominican
people.
Yes.
Dominicans, man. I love Dominicans.
Man.
Shout out to all my Dominican friends and family. I love you guys, man.
Oye, pero bueno.
Ven acá, tío. Yeah, Dominicans.
Yeah, man. They
people,
love to
man.
party, man. You know, we did a gig some years ago for Major League Baseball players who played for the Los Angeles Angels, and you know, I guess I don't know if they had a home in Miami or what the deal was, but we were called to play and provide entertainment for a house party. Little did we know that it was going to be so wild, and they didn't even care if we played. They just wanted us to be the hype, to be the fun. You know what I mean? So, that's what we do.
We didn't play and we still got paid. So
We still got paid.
was great.
We didn't play. Yeah.
They're perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody out there that listens to these Talking Flute podcasts are all studying or playing or enjoying music.
Yeah.
The fun bit sometimes gets taken out of it when
Sure.
you're learning,
Oh,
doesn't it?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, people are focused on fundamentals, but hence it ends up being the mental, rather than fun. So I think we need to put the fun back in fundamental. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So, sorry, I'm in a pun mood. So,
So what are you going to start with today? Obviously, we're going to have a bit of music. We both got you here. You've got your guitar out and you've got your flute out. So what should we
yeah,
do?
I mean, we also have our voices out too because we like to beatbox and come up with weird noises while we're playing and, provide comedic relief. So I think what we're going to do is an original composition called Love Has to Do With It.
Oh, and where did that come from? That time?
I listened to Tina Turner's What's Love Got to Do With It? And I think it was a season where I actually was kind of studying what is love. You know what I mean? And what are the definitions of love? The different definitions, depending on what you're looking at. If you're looking at faith-based religion terms of what love is, right? Like in Christianity, love is really sacrifice. It's putting others before yourself. And so I kind of started toying with the wording for myself, and I said, what, love has to do with it. And even though I understand that she wrote that song, and she was going through a very tumultuous relationship at the time, I just thought I want to actually respond because that song was released in the industry as a question. So I thought, why not answer it? And that was in 2009 when I wrote this song called Love Has to Do With It. Play the bass. Stop that nowhere away. Zub it away. So whoop it away. Whoa.
Nobody, obviously, you can't see because I'm talking to you. I was trying desperately to put Gualo off when he was playing his guitar. So, consummate professionals, but that doesn't stop you having fun.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Yeah. That's the point. If we're not having fun, normally it's like, all right, we're done.
Yeah.
It normally happens that we're like, okay, I think we went too long and it got a little boring and let's stop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which doesn't really happen, but that's how you know when you stop having fun. It's like that's it. Yeah.
So how do you know then when to stop and to put the percussive sounds in the beatboxing, the string bass, and the trombone? And how do you know when to sort of do that, or does it just happen organically?
I think one of the things, honestly, I mean, at least for me, and it could be different, and maybe that's why it works. But to me, it has a lot to do with listening to who's listening. And what I mean by listening is start with the body language. You know, so I know this could sound funny. I know if I have 6 teenagers listening, the beatboxing is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I know the body language too. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that he's probably going to start beatboxing on the flute if he's going to, do that. But if it's the other way around, maybe there's, I don't know, just but that's kind of like an example of what.
Well, yeah, you have to know your audience.
Sure.
I mean, hey, depending on who's around, we might even switch up the groove. We might make it more swing. We might make it more, kind of a shuffle, 6/8 kind of feel. I mean, you just have to know your audience, right? We might play more delicate. We might play more aggressive. Through our instruments. So it all depends. I'm in a really relaxed state, so I'm not really trying to, play notes in with a really rich sound. We're also in a sort of a smaller room, and I think playing as if you were going to play for an intimate audience.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Did you realize how good you've made me feel? Yusuf said when you play in front of a group of 16-year-olds or teenagers.
And you were ID'd last night. That's great. You're on a roll, man.
I was ID'd last night.
Yeah.
What they don't know is actually I asked to be ID'd.
Can you please ID me?
Please, I'm begging you. I'll give you a greater tip. Yeah.
But you made a very important point, is that if you want to have fun, there's got to be credible fun.
Yeah.
And it's credible fun, and that comes from listening.
Yeah. I mean, we say we play music, you know, but I don't know that we take that word playing to heart. You know what I mean? I mean, for me, playing, I think of kids in a sandbox, you know, or just getting dirty a little bit, you know what I mean? Trying new things, being adventurous, using your imagination. So, you know, when I say I play music, I really aim to play with music.
You're playing with.
You know what I mean? Yeah, right. You're playing with music.
Like
you know?
Like
so, yeah, I mean, and you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many mistakes you make or how perfect your performance was. You know, I mean, music is a service. And that's what people are hiring musicians for, is to provide them with some sense of relief and enjoyment, you know what I mean? Inspiration, fun, in a world that is, you know, you really got to ask yourself, I think Marvin Gaye said it best, what's going on? Mm. And so, you know, sometimes it almost seems like academia can take it a little bit too seriously. And this is coming from a professor, you know,
a
myself.
Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? And so I feel like part of my professorship is to encourage students to have fun in making music and making it with other people, being relational, being, you know, free in their own skin.
And I noticed from you too, when you say you're both free, there's no leader. Mm-hmm. You know, you both have your own space, you come together, and then just naturally one will take the lead, and then naturally the other one will take the lead.
That's part of the chemistry as well, and understanding, you know, what he does, and understanding what I do, and understanding the song we're playing, the jam we're playing, what we're in, who does what. And that comes now. We don't talk about that.
No.
We really don't. It just happens because there is a chemistry. It just happens. It's like you're a chemist, you put two chemicals together, you leave it there and it just happens. You know, you're not always picking at it. It might explode if it does. If you do.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, you can have the most incredible musicians getting together, and it can sound like a complete disaster. Sure. Because the
Ego
question is, the thing, you know, unless there's a clear understanding that everybody has to have a mentality that they're serving one another. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I can play with another guitarist, but if that guitar player is not listening to how I can contribute, or if I'm not listening to that guitarist, I can easily overstep their creative juice, you know?
So a large part of our audience are people that are returning to study, or have taken up playing instrument at a later date.
Awesome.
When they get, I'm finding some of the emails we're getting through the Talking Flutes, they get quite stressed at playing, and the thought of being free and improvising scares them. If we take it back to the word fun, then surely that begins to unlock improvisation and creative freedom. What advice would you give them to try and unlock the glory that is improvisation and fun in music?
Man, you know, before you play, like, I don't know, go to the bathroom, go to the mirror, look at yourself, and then just say, hey, yo, don't take yourself too seriously.
Should I try that?
Yeah.
You should.
And then do like a really weird big smile. And just say, you know what? Let's have some fun. And then go back out and just do it. I mean, again, it's almost like music for so many people. You know, their training was so legalistic, and in music, you know, formal music training, oftentimes, you know, the rhetoric is that you need to learn all of these different things, these different steps, before you're even allowed to express yourself, before you're allowed to even say anything. But interesting enough, when we're kids, we're already jamming with professionals. You know, our parents are professionals in jamming in whatever language, and they let us just try things, say things.
That's definitely
and you know, I mean, I have almost a year-old baby now, and he's beginning to say a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, and he'll try to communicate. He'll go yeah 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 yeah, and we don't say stop doing that. Learn to pronunciate. I mean, to the baby. You know what I mean? we have fun with him, and we actually respond as if he's actually having a conversation, because he is.
And he'll come around.
And despite he'll come around, and despite maybe not having the technique to pronunciate, he can still express himself, and that's something that we have to understand. That it's not about developing the most perfect performance and technique. Technique is the foundation, I should say. It teaches us how to say what we want to say, but we first need to understand what is it that we want to say today.
That's definitely true.
Yeah,
That's
and
definitely
then
true.
when you and I think that makes it so enjoyable for me to pick up my flute every day, because I don't know what I'm going to sound like. And I mean, Jean Paul, you know very well all the different hats that I take on when playing the flute. You know what I mean? And in the future, people are going to hear a really completely different side of me that has always existed. You know what I mean? But you just got to be open. Can't be pigeonholed by any means to one style only. I mean, who said that? You know what I mean? So it's just about building relationships, living life. Some of the best playing comes from not even touching my horn, but just actually talking and hanging out with people, and then it enriches your quality of life. Your endorphins are up, and then you play your instrument. And if you're not worried so much about what you sound like, but just try, then that's going to, I think, increase the enjoyment for learning music, for playing music, yeah.
So you got it there. Don't worry about what you sound like.
Yeah.
Don't worry about making mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on a previous podcast that what is a mistake?
Mm-hmm.
A mistake is just something that comes in. But if you're having fun and you're improvising, is there a mistake?
Oh man.
That's funny.
Mistakes are unintended ideas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I have an idea and I played something unintendedly, it may be a cracked note, it may be a melodic shape that I played that I didn't necessarily want to do, then hey, it's a mistake. But mistakes are the mother of success.
I thought this was about fun, Joey.
I know. But hey, philosophy is fun too.
Can I practice that? Hey, bro.
Yeah.
How does it go?
Brah.
Bruh.
Brah.
Bruh.
Yeah. You have to say
Shorten
brah.
it. You had to shorten it, but shorten it. Bruh.
Brah.
Bruh.
There you go. You said it perfectly. You're in. You're one of us.
Can I add a little bit to the improvising part?
Yeah, please.
Well, Joey knows a lot. Like, I'm not necessarily a lead guitar player, whereas, playing leads and stuff is like, is really my thing. It's not. I like it, and I know I have a lot to work on because I do want to. But one thing that I did is, when I picked up the guitars that we've always talked about being drummers at heart, and it's just, my thing is I always carry the beat, in me, and you can see when I play, my thing is really what's happening on the right hand. It's you look at my left hand, it's just hanging there, and the right hand is really doing all the work. When I do this type of stuff, it's really if you look at my left hand, there's not much going on.
No, there isn't. No.
It's really all the right hand, but it's groovy, and that's my thing. And one thing that happened with him and I was that, to him, that groove on a guitar was kind of like a playing field. Whereas I'm not doing the lead stuff that the flute does, because the flute's not necessarily playing chords. So it's just the same thing when you have a piano and a flute, playing a classical piece. Just take out the piano, it's a guitar now. Just make a groove, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's really simple. It looks different and complicated because it's not common.
Well, he's doing the bass,
So-
the harmonies, and the rhythm.
So at the end of whatever I'm playing is giving him a playing field of like, ooh, let me get on that one. Ooh, let me get on that. Ooh, let me run on this. Oh, that's a sandbox. Ooh, no, look, this is a swing. So at the end of the day, that, which is something that I developed within maybe the first year or two of playing guitar, which is just that groove, because I had played drums and piano before. Although I didn't think, or I didn't know that was my freedom of my way to express that freedom and improvise. Where it was just I'm just grooving. Like if I'm doing this, I'm improvising.
So what
Yeah, I might not be going, but I'm really improvising.
what
So
would you naturally put over the top? Just sort of, so he's doing
Yeah,
that.
well, honestly, I I would say, in many ways, when I play with Gualo, we take on different hats. We switch sometimes, right? And or sometimes
All
we'll
the
just
time.
all the time, really. But I guess with the flute, because see, the flute is just primarily a melodic instrument.
Yeah.
It's been used, for melody in Western art music, but the flute in the Caribbean and in other parts of the world, in Africa, in Asia, can be used for melody, but it can also be used for rhythm. You see what I'm saying? And so there's we're going to let you in our secret to how we get us the dynamic, organic vibe that is just so unique with us, right? So just play that groove right there. Here's one option that I can do. Okay. I'm going to think about the drums that he's thinking about. So it's like, I hear the drum beat that you're hearing. I'm going to do it as well. Okay? And the drum beat is essentially... Right? And then just put on the flute. And that snare is me breathing in. So I'm breathing the rhythm, Jean Paul. You know what I mean? Right? So that's one thing, right? And then if I want to really accentuate, then I'll breathe out on the kick. So I'll go... And then I change the notes, right? With my fingers. Another option is let me play something contrasting to what he's doing. So if he's going to be staccato and rhythmic, maybe I'll play something that is really wet and melodious and, and it still sounds good. But that also gives me time to think about where am I going to go next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's another thing. I just actually think about, what would a vocalist do? What if I were to sing lyrics, or sing about a story, but didn't have the ability to sing lyrics? Yeah. Look, I just sang a couple notes out of tune and cracked the note. That's okay, right? But now, at least I now have exposed the idea, and I can refine it later. Something like that. Ooh, no. Right there, that sababa. That's the brass section. Because now I'm thinking about like a big band. But that comes from my experience in playing in big bands. You see what I'm saying? And so you're putting all these life experiences into the music.
identity.
Yeah, it's your identity.
It's your identity.
And I think what people are, we've talked about this in another podcast, people are too busy trying to pursue a role. What position do you have in society or within the music industry? Are you this first chair flutist? Are you doing these kind of gigs? Right? But you can't pursue your role if you don't know what your purpose is. And your purpose is not a selfish endeavor. It's an endeavor to help and provide service, for your audience, whatever that specific audience is going to be at the moment. But you can't pursue your purpose if you don't know your identity. Who you are, what are your values, what do you like, what do you not like, what are your weaknesses? Do a SWOT analysis on yourself. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yeah,
So,
that's
right?
true. And in that,
and then attack them. Go and attack those threats and make them into strengths.
What's happened to me was that now after we started playing together and we started traveling and all this stuff, even like in the early stuff, I would sit back a lot and just do my thing, groove, before we would do our duo stuff. And that was just my playing field at the moment. I've grown from there, but it was a start. I knew that was my identity, and I knew if I just work on that even more, I can develop more things that might not be doing the, slash stuff, as much as I'd love to, but I do something that is a little bit uncommon, and when you mix it with a flute, it's even more uncommon, and that's worked. And I grow all the time. I'm getting better at doing even that same groove, even that, whatever it is. And all that is improvising.
Absolutely.
And trying and really just throwing yourself. I mean, and I make a gazillion mistakes every day, when I play. But that is part of, number one, freedom, being free and having fun.
It's a mindset.
Yeah. It's like having fun.
It's a decision. It's a choice. And one of the ways that we can do that, also, here's another suggestion, is whatever you're playing, start moving.
Yeah.
Move while you play. Be the music. Move to the contour of the melody. At the National Flute Association, on 2 different occasions, we did Dance Your Flute Off, right? 1.0 and 2.0. And the whole point of that showcase was to get people to just start releasing those endorphins and just start moving and playing while you move, it really does make you feel better.
Well,
and more comfortable in yourself.
You both really want to give people permission to take a key out of their pocket and unlock their creativity, because not be confined within.
Yeah, listen, I am a firm believer that everybody is creative. It's just that some people, were put in circumstances that impinge their creative development. But it's never too late. I'll say it again. It is never too late to be creative. And, being able to try things, being able to laugh at yourself when you did something silly, that is also part of the fun. Don't take it too seriously.
Definitely part of the fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad we came back to that F word.
Yeah. We have to.
Fun you.
Guys, once again, thank you for taking time out to come in and have a chat with me.
Thank you.
Thank you. The honor's mine.
Yeah.
It's always fun. And what are you going to play out with?
We're going to play a song called It's My Promise. It's an original composition.
By you again, or by Gualo, or both of you?
By him, and
it's all of us.
We keep shaping it.
We always split the big fat royalty that comes in. It's amazing how you can split the 0. It actually evens out perfectly. I get 0, he gets 0. So
to close, I'd like to thank you, bros.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bros, bros,
Sir Bro and Lord Bro.
Sir Bro and Lord Bro for coming.
Thank you to the Queen.
God bless him.
And keep smiling, everybody.
Yes.
Thanks for coming, you guys.
This world today, oh how there's so much I want to say, and things are changing every single day, but I gotta press on and carry on my way. Question what the future holds, not daring to witness the dreams unfold, and time passes from young to old. Who can tell me of friendships that are gold? You got to remember, love is what we desire, We sacrifice ourselves to lift the other higher. So believe in one's potential and let them know you care. See, life isn't fair, but is there someone there? Gaze up at the sky, put your hands up into the air. It's okay to cry, release your heart into the air. When you wonder why, release your voice into the air. 'Cause the man upstairs says, I'll be there. It's my promise. I can see now what I'm called to do. Like night and day, it's so clear and so true. I sing songs in hopes to inspire you to feel rejuvenated and renewed. Your future is as bright as the sunlight. I know you're going to turn your wrongs to right. You'll bring clarity and vision and sight to the ones who cannot see through the darkness in the night. You got to remember, love is what we desire. We sacrifice ourselves to lift the other higher. So believe in one's potential and let them know you care. See, life is not always fair, but is there someone there? You gaze up at the sky, put your hands up into the air. It's okay to cry, release your heart into the air. When you wonder why, release your voice into the air. 'Cause the man upstairs says, I'll be there. It's my promise. Gaze up at the sky, put your hands up into the air. It's okay to cry, release your heart into the air. When you wonder why, release your voice into the air. 'Cause the man upstairs says, I'll be there. 'Cause the man upstairs says, I'll be there. 'Cause the man upstairs says, I'll be there. It's my promise. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Woo! Do we fist bump now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
We're gonna jam. Here's a song that I wrote called "Understand." We're not gonna play the song. I think we're just gonna jam over the song, and it's kind of like what we like to do sometimes. Sometimes, let's play this song, and we end up just doing some crazy stuff we
So
make
what
up
do you
on
do?
the spot.
You start with the theme, and then you just deviate off and see where it takes you.
Exactly.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the.
You know, I think of it like we're a car. Now that we've been talking about Ubers, right? But our sunroof is wide open.
All
You know what I
right,
mean?
okay.
And we're seeking that inspiration from above.
Yeah.
And we just let the light come in, and then we just want to exude it out. You know what I mean? So, however it's reflected, however it comes out, that's what it is, you know? So we just try to be unfiltered, mistakes and all. That's what we give you. Love and happiness.
I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Yo, yeah. Oh, that's fabulous. Now, before I start, because I would like to explore this concept that you just did there, which is taking a tune and then going with it, because to a lot of musicians that's a hard thing to do, improvisation. But before I do so, I think congratulations are in order. I think you won a very small award recently, both of you.
Yeah, the Emmy.
And then that's not a small award, is it? Congratulations. What was it for?
Thank you. There's a film that we worked on called Art Vessel
With director Mateo.
with Mateo Bengoechea, which we've done different stuff.
Yeah, we
with
have
him,
with Mateo.
not just that great, amazing director and producer. And it was a film about art in Miami and really the art movement that started somewhere around 2010 and so on. We did it in 2014. And the Wynwood area and local artists versus what's going on there and how it's going versus, places in New York, places like Europe and Los Angeles and stuff like that. And I had the pleasure of scoring the film, and it was impossible for me to do it without the help of this guy right here. And, the fact that we were able to put together ideas and concepts of how do we make this Miami, but how do we make it great without it, having to sound like something else or having to necessarily copy art out there and all that stuff, and just kind of go with what, the identity that we're trying to get with art in Miami. Why is it unique and all that stuff? Well, I'm from Miami. He's lived there long enough to get to know the phenomenon that it is as a city and everything. And just putting our talents together and scoring that film was such a great pleasure. And watching it, a couple of years later, just after winning several film festivals and being aired on on TV by PBS and all that stuff, just seeing it win an Emmy is just so fulfilling, and seeing like, wow, this is some very like weird, unorthodox duo thing we've always got going on. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but at the end of it, it just ends up making sense, and there it is, and it just gets an Emmy. So it's beautiful. It really is. Praise God. Like, it's just amazing.
So when you write the score, you go in with this guy into the studio, score for a film. You don't just play the notes, do you? You must deviate. It's you two, so you deviate off. How do you know when you've got something that is right for that use of the film, or do you just record hours and then merge it in? How do you know when what you've written?
Well, one of the things that I think about is the power of the imagination and making sure that we exercise our imagination. A lot of how we compose music really stems from this idea of cognitive translation process. I did my dissertation on mental imagery and teaching with imagery, and how you can use imagery as a form of instruction to help people become more expressive as performers. But the information that I learned and discovered and investigated and tested, really, some of the results that I've managed to find out is just that there is this real phenomenon that if musicians are able to, put themselves in the grinder and practice and refine their ideas and just try to express themselves, however they feel, that thought, that mood, that color, an episodic memory, and just practice expressing that each and every day, eventually what will happen is that you'll start speaking a new language. So then you apply that to any film or any project that requires visual media. You look at that and you can literally see what's going on. And your brain, since it's already been exercising the idea of translating something that is non-musical into music, it becomes almost perhaps second nature. I mean, you start seeing an image and you say, this is what needs to happen, because you look at the properties of the image and what is happening, and then you translate that. How can we translate these properties into music?
But if you look at somebody like Hans Zimmer, John Barry, John Williams, there's a score,
Yeah,
sure.
and the musicians come in and they sit and play the notes.
yeah.
In doing what you do and what you did on this film, there's a lot of trust for you,
Sure. Yeah.
because you're creating the score and then you go in and you allow yourselves to explore without necessarily that fine dot written down. How does that, how do you actually get to the place where you know that that's right for that scene?
That's a great question. Not that I want to know how to answer it, but it's a lot of it just has to do with feeling it. Number one is not putting myself before everything. Number one, when I've scored something, or even I'm playing in a song or whatever it is, it's not about me, and it always starts with this isn't about me. You called me maybe, and you like what I do, but it's not about proving that I'm great at what I do. It's not necessary, and it's about the film. And one thing about music and film is, and I learned this in school, and a lot of people forget this, but if you look at the definition of music in the film world, music is not a must, actually. Music is only there to support. Okay, so if it needs music, it's because it needs support. If you look at something and say, well, this doesn't need music, but if I'm going to do something, I'm just going to support it. I'm not going to take from it. I'm not going to put something that you're just going to disconnect you from what you're watching, because other than that, just listen to an album, just listen to music rather than just watch it with video. So number one is understanding the scene, understanding everything. So one little example from the song that we did for our vessel is when they go to New York, and then the first thing that you get is these big shots from New York of the city. You see the skyline, you see Times Square and a lot of stuff. And the first thing I hear is Frank Sinatra horns in my head. I just hear that when I see it, because it reminds me of that. And I thought of the melody, ba, 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 da, da, like just big horn line just going, and then mixing it with my style, which is the, and just singing over that. I'm like, all right, well, horns, and I tell this guy, watch it. So this is my idea, and the rest is up to you. So that with a sax solo, it brings you back to that historic New York of the Rat Pack era and all that stuff, and the big band stuff. But this is 2014. This is art. This is Miami. What's Miami? God knows what Miami is. Pitbull, whatever. Like that. It's what can Miami offer? What is it? Well, I'm from Miami. I'm gonna mix all this stuff in there. It's a big soup, of all this stuff, and that came about. So that's just one example of. But it all started with, what am I looking at? What am I feeling? And that's what I was feeling at the moment. So it's like a question hard to answer, because there's not an exact or correct answer to that. As in, like, this is how it's done.
But
there isn't
a correct
there
answer.
isn't.
Because
right,
if you're doing a track, a record, which is just going to go in the ears, then you can create anything.
Sure.
And it's never right or wrong, because it's a performance. But what music, a score, can do to a film, it can kill it.
Absolutely.
Or it can enhance it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's the music that puts the hairs on the back of your neck.
Sure.
It's the music that makes you cry. I think without music...
Support the imagery by interacting without interfering. And
There it
then
is.
you'll be able to inspire, influence, and impact the viewer.
Exactly.
So I'm sure Medea will say that the music has enhanced his visual production.
His wallet size too.
No, you know what is interesting is, another thing is, if the job is very well done in the video area, and I remember Mateo and Luis, who's the director of photography and editor, and he did the color correction of the movie. They just packed up and picked up the camera and went to New York. That's exactly what happened. They said, we got to go get some New York footage, and all the footage is just dumb. Like, it's dumb filming that stuff. It's not like stock footage from Getty Images or anything like that. So they came back to me with that and they said, "Here, this needs something." I was like, "Well, this looks great." And I watched it a couple of times and I can hear, and I hear the melody. But instant, boom, that's what I hear.
But the thing is, look, I think we also have to point out the fact that, you know, something that we have always done and nobody has ever stopped us from doing is we're constantly coming up with melodies, singing melodies while we're walking. You know, it comes from that old Disney
you can be in an
Snow
Uber or
White,
something.
you know, scene where it says, "Whistle while you work." Right? I mean, you know, I don't know if that was the scene that really got me. Really, I don't know. I don't know if it triggered me to always sing and come up with a melody or beatbox while I'm walking. You know, just becoming aware of all the music that is actually present, all the rhythms and all the pitches and tones that and harmonies that are happening, you know, as you're walking outside. You know what I mean? And so I think what we just naturally do is we listen to nature and
awareness. Yeah, it's awareness.
It's really it's another level of aural awareness. And so what I end up doing is I start jamming to the sounds that are actually present. You know what I mean?
Well, that's really interesting. Can I just hold on to that point?
Go ahead.
How often do we go somewhere and we don't listen? I'll give you a very brief example. When I went to New York in September with my wife, we went to a yoga session in Bryant Park.
Okay.
And one of the ladies said, well, the lady that was taking it, and there was 1,000 people doing yoga, and we had to lay down. And she said, "Now what you need to do is to concentrate on the sounds of New York." And it made me realise I'd never heard New York.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
And that comes into what you say, is when you're walking along, the sounds you listen to, we don't hear things, do we? We don't pay attention.
Yeah, it's listening, yeah.
It's important. I mean, you know, and it's important to play the space in music. Like, technically, I'm still playing the first jam that we did. I'm just making a long space.
Yeah, that's deep.
Rest.
That's deep.
Leave that deep right there.
The rest note is an important note. And I like to say I came up with this talking to Jose one time, and I told him, space speaks. You know,
I remember that.
One of the most important notes you can play is the rest note.
Yeah.
Now that is the key to every musician. That space.
Absolutely.
The space between the notes, but also
Uh-huh.
And how do you define that? The space note. Is the silence? The silence. Is it the silence between, or is it?
No, it's the opportunity to listen back.
It's like talking. You have to stop and
it's
breathe.
conversational. Music is conversational.
Yeah.
You know, you got to ask yourself, if you are just focused on trying to showcase what you're playing, and it's all about you. I mean, and you know what I mean, and not the audience, right? Even if the audience is quiet and intent, listen to their body language. And I say, don't just look at their body language, listen to their body language. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, you know, maybe it's a figure of speech, I don't know, but it's one of those things where I feel like if we really focus, we can almost hear people's body language and their thoughts, right? Because that's what we're doing, you know. If we see a person smile, we can imagine what they're saying, you know, and then we're responding back in this language, in our personal, individualistic language, you know what I mean, within this sort of meta language of music.
So how did you two first meet?
We met at church.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
I was doing a Christmas concert. It was a co-concert with a renowned pianist named Adlan Cruz. And so I was the first performer, and I saw Gualo sitting in the front row with his friends and things like that. And, you know, I played. I had a wireless microphone, so I could go to the audience. So I think I may have even, like, played my flute with my live band there, you know, on stage. And I went down, and I just started kind of shaking everybody's hand while still playing the flute with my left hand, you know.
You had me play.
Oh yeah, and I had him
that thing that you do?
play one of the trill keys here. It went like this, and he just touched it while I was playing. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that era. That
Yeah.
was the first time. Yeah,
that was the only time he became a flutist.
it was great though. I played lost my best 3 notes. But after that, A couple months later, we found out you were going to move to Miami.
Yeah, to pursue my master's
Exactly.
degree in University of Miami. So
Well, that must have been like in
2010.
2010, yeah. And, well, your aunt congregated, she still congregates in my church. And so you started coming to the church, really. And one time we would hang out during rehearsals because we wanted to include him in the music. Of course, it was like a blessing to us. And after rehearsal, let's go eat, whatever.
I was like, is there room for me, guys?
Yeah. And,
He's like, is there room?
we went, some of the guys and him, one of the nights we met up at Burger King, and he ordered something, and I don't know why he ordered to go, so he got it on the bag, but he sat down and he ripped the bag open in like such a monstrous way.
Yeah.
And I looked at my friend and we're like, he's one of us.
Yeah.
The rest is history of our friendship. Like, it was, it just turned into, the hangs on the weekends, going out to eat.
But there was a we carpooled somewhere, and you started showing me your music.
Right. So then that's how the music part of the relationship,
I didn't know he made beats, hip hop beats.
Yeah, I have a past in hip hop, and then I grew up. But I would make a lot of beats because I was producing at the time. That was like my only thing. I wasn't even playing, being a singer songwriter or anything like that. But I was recording and making beats, and I just started showing him some old stuff until he said he heard one and he was like, hey, send me that. So the next day I got it back with like a really cool smooth jazz type of modern saxophone.
We used some of that music, about 8 years later, when we did the Saxy Hip Hop sessions.
Yeah.
So those are beats that Gualo made,
years ago.
When he was a teenager.
So, that was like a fossil. I just had him, in like just put away, and then it was great to see that.
Can you give me an example of one of those beats that you used?
In like beatboxing? No, because that's different. It's the beatboxing stuff comes after too.
Yeah.
Like, it started kind of like adding to it.
It's that what people won't realise is you have a really wide variety of percussive sounds
Sure.
Oh,
that
yeah.
you utilise even as a duo. And
Yeah.
when we close in a minute, you'll no doubt do something where you'll bring everything in, and it's not that there's a drum.
And that's the thing. So, how did this relationship forge? Is the initial question, and we would jam all the time while we were in Miami. And there would be open mics that we would do at the church, and we would just put ourselves on the spot, and it was just very kind of a free-spirited atmosphere. So we would beatbox battle,
Yeah.
And I would just try to see if I can hang with him, and then
See if I can hang with him.
Yeah, and
Outta here.
no, and then but then something that I learned very quickly is like if I'm going to go on tour, I want to go with people, who are just awesome to hang with all the time. You know what I mean? And so we ended up traveling to different parts of the United States and
countries.
And it was just a lot of fun playing in a lot of youth conferences. We did mission work in Guatemala. Then we went to mission trip to Costa Rica, and we went to a mission trip to Colombia. And so when you travel with somebody in third world countries, that is going to test your friendship, and we've prevailed. So it only seems right, despite my limitations, despite his limitations, we take our strengths and we put it in a blender, and it's almost like something new comes out every time.
Yeah. That's
And for me, looking on the outside, you two have such a natural relationship, and it's not built around looking and studying dots on a page. You've done all that. You've built your foundations,
Sure.
and that's really important that musicians build their foundations, do their studies. But then, as you say, you've broken free. You have the sunroof on the car open. You welcome everything in, and once you allow that to yourself to do that, you have freedom to be who you really are.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And when you see you two playing, it is completely free.
It's freedom.
Yeah.
But you tend to know where each other's going,
Yeah.
don't you? Well, you're going to tell me that you don't now.
I mean, we just have to listen. We're not. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily like we're sure where we're going, but sometimes I'm playing something and it's kind of indicating, hey, time to listen to me. Let's try something. You know what I mean? And so we're just open to different ideas, and we also love implementing this 3-letter word called fun. You know, it's a concept in music. I know it's not very encouraged in a lot of formal art music. Maybe more so now these days, but I hope that we continue seeing that kind of thing. But fun is a wonderful thing.
We're going to record another podcast on fun.
All right.
So to close this one, what are you going to play out with?
Well, why don't you tell us, give us some ideas, and we'll make something on the spot.
Really?
Yeah.
That makes that sounds
Gina, I'd love to put that out.
All
Now,
right.
how Disney do we go, or how Kanye West do we go?
Well, we would need Gina for both, right?
Yeah, we would need you to
How about how about Imagine? Taking that really deep John Lennon piece. Can I just ask you, whilst he does that, can you hear the chord straight away that he's in?
Yeah. Yeah.
So to close this podcast, we have José Valentino and Gualo.
There it is.
Above is only sky. Nowhere below us. Above is only sky. Oh, imagine all the people living for today. You might say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you would join us, and the world will live its way. Oh, you might say I'm a dreamer. See, but I tell you, I'm not the only one. And I pray someday you would join us, and the world will live as
And we got the Uber driver in.
I played that song since I was like 16, man.
José Valentino and Gualo. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
What a wonderful time I had with those two. And many, many thanks to my dear friends José Valentino and Gualo for their continued enthusiasm for music, performance, education, and their deep-held desire to make people smile, dance, and be involved in the wonderful process of music making. Thank you also to you for listening this week. Please continue to send in your flute practice and performance related questions to Claire and I at flutepodcasts@gmail.com or via the Talking Flutes Facebook page. We have some wonderful podcasts coming up soon where we are covering lots of the questions that have come through to us via social media. So until next time, may your week be musically fulfilling. May you experience fun in whatever you do. And may your low C be especially in tune. Goodbye, everybody. Talking Flutes and Talking Flutes Extra are podcast productions by the Trevor James Flute Company. For more information, visit trevorjamesflutes.com.